Hi guys, it's Misty from the Book Rat, and today I'm going to be doing a quick get ready with me of this sort of graphic blue liner. God, why did I say it like that? While I talk about a book that I read recently that I really I'm on the fence about. So if you want to see me do this to my face and talk about Beast, A Tale of Love and Revenge, which is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, stick around. I don't know why I can't just do a normal video anymore, but I feel like I should always be multitasking. This time, I have pulled out a little box of stuff that I want to use. I'm catching on. And the goal today, and the goal in general right now, is to work my way through things that have just been sitting around for ages that I need gone. You know, I need them to just not be anymore. I need to see what I like, what I actually use. So that's just my general makeup goal right now. So hair back, I'm going to zoom in a touch. So a lot of what I'm going to be using today is like samples and things that I've had just kicking around that I need to use. First up though, my lips feel so dry. I'm just going to put some balm on. Basically, after years of sample boxes and all that stuff, I've just got a lot of stuff kicking around. I have all kinds of sample packs, like anything that I've gotten from Sephora or other stores. And then I also have this little one that's full of Korean beauty samples that I've been trying to work through. Long story short, basically I haven't moisturized yet, and today I'm going to try this little hyaluronic acid serum from a Korean skincare company. And that's just what we're going to do. That's what we're going to go with. I'm just going to kind of put this on and then let it sink in for a minute and then come back to you, because I feel like there's nothing I'm really going to be able to do quite yet because it's very wet and sticky. So today I'm going to be talking about a book called Beast, A Tale of Love and Revenge by Jensen. This book, I'm so on the fence with that I kind of don't even know where to start. Essentially, and the full synopsis and links to the book will be in the description. It's basically a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Kind of partly the original tale, like the French tale, and then very heavily influenced, I would say, by the Disney tale. So though not, you know, a whole castle's worth of people gets turned into inanimate objects, there is that element, which is very Disney to my knowledge. I don't remember that from the original tale. The publication of this book has been pushed multiple times, almost a full year, I think, and I don't know if that's because of the resemblance to Disney or issues with the plot, specifically maybe some sensitivity issues, or I don't know. So I don't know why it's been pushed, and I don't know how much it will change before it actually is published. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind with anything I say. These things could change in theory, or it could even get pushed again, or scrapped entirely. I guess you never know. I had a primer I meant to try and I forgot to put it on. And the reason I'm realizing that is because I don't know if I like the way this is sitting on my skin, and normally I don't remember having an issue. So maybe just don't go in with straight foundation after that serum. Oh, yeah, it's just crumbling off. Well, I'm gonna just wipe this off and we're gonna have a take two. Okay, take two, and I'm switching up entirely. So, not touching the hydrating serum again. Not gonna use this stila foundation, which normally I don't have an issue with, but today it just seemed too dark for me. So I guess, even though it's pale as it can get, it's not pale enough for Winter Misty. I am going to use the random primer sample that I have. So this is Stay Flawless Stick Primer from Benefit. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but again, I'm just trying to use things up. And then the foundation I'm going to switch to is Rimmel. Again, in the palest shade that you have, and I think it still might be a tiny bit too dark, so sheared out, I guess. But anyway, as I was saying, if you're only familiar with the Disney tale and not the original story, I mean, I think you would certainly recognize this, you know, recognize elements. It kind of seems almost like a retelling, but much, much darker, not kid-friendly. And there's pretty much no way, I think, that I can review this without kind of getting into spoilers, so we're just gonna go there. So basically, in this version, the main character, Lucy, is a chambermaid for the Beast, the chevalier of the castle. He's beautiful. You know the story. He's a handsome man who is horrible. That is especially true here because he basically encounters Lucy on her own at night and rapes her. So the beastliness in this story is especially so, and it kind of meant that right off the bat I was hesitant, you know, to want to see him be redeemed, which is, in the end, is the goal. You know, Beast learns from being turned into a beast, and he becomes a better person, and the beauty falls in love with him, and happily ever after, right? But essentially the whole time I was reading, I'm thinking, do I want to see him be redeemed? Is that what we're going for here? Is a tale of redemption for a rapist? Like, I don't know that I want him to get his happily ever after. Then you kind of start wondering, like, is this just going to be a totally different take then, and maybe he isn't redeemed? Maybe it's not going to play out the way that you're expecting to, and it's not so much a retelling as a twisting of the tale. I was kind of in this weird place with it for the bulk of the book, where I'm like, I don't know if there's any way that I could possibly like this if it plays out normally, and I don't know if it's not going to play out normally, and I'm just like going back and forth like, is this really what we're doing? Maybe you're more forgiving than I am and are fine with the idea of a redemptive tale for a rapist, but I was mostly pretty hesitant. For a kind of light transition, I'm going to use that kind of taupey color from the Tarte Energy Noir palette. Does anyone else go to readjust their glasses when their glasses are off, or is that just me? The other thing I was really hesitant about is that, so basically the way the curse plays out is Lucy is debating killing herself, and she is going to throw herself in like a little lake or river or something, I don't know. And there's the witch, you know, the witch that casts the curse, is there and stops her and basically offers to help Lucy get her revenge. Part of the revenge, part of the way it plays out, is that when the Beast is transformed, he scares off everyone else in the castle, no one else is left, except for Lucy, who's transformed into the candlestick, so she's like the Lumiere of this. There are reasons for that. It kind of is an extended metaphor, so her name and what he calls her throughout the story, and part of her vengeance is like shedding light on his sins. So, you know, there's a theme there. And though I get that and I appreciate that, and part of me even likes that, at the same time you have this girl who has just gone through a trauma and been objectified, being literally turned into an object. And it was, again, one of those things where I'm like, this is what we're doing? Just kind of throughout, it's leaving me questioning, like, the very premise of it, and making me a little hesitant to commit, I guess, and to, I don't know, it's just making me question, I guess, too much. Okay, so I'm actually switching. So last time I did this, in videos you've seen it in previously, I used this Maybelline Master Smoky, but it's just a little patchy. So I switched over to a Physicians Formula blue kohl, and it goes on much smoother, but I don't like the tone quite as much, so I think I'm going to pop open this almay shadow in Midnight Sky and press them on and see if that changes the tone, and well, see what we're working with. So because of those major things, essentially the entire plot, I was just kind of hesitant all the way across the board. Really debated DNFing this multiple times for probably the first like 60% of it, but there was something that just kept me coming back, and part of me wanted to see if she could bring it around and if she could make a rapist redemption story and a literal objectification story work. So I kept hanging on. And partly it just is very quick, you know, there is something that is compelling about it beyond, I think, just kind of the train wreck aspect of it. And there's part of me that is like, is this maybe secretly genius? Like, was this actually a really good idea? And it's a very meta conversation about assault and about, you know, the way assault victims feel and treat themselves after something like that has happened. I would say in some ways that's certainly addressed. I think Lucy blames herself partly because that's, you know, the time period she's in. She's not got the autonomy that a modern woman has, you know. It would have been blamed on her, and it would have been partly considered her fault. And a woman's virtue was dependent on her being, you know, proper, good, unsullied maid. So it does make sense. but also from a kind of victimization standpoint. You know, people do tend to blame themselves and wonder what they could have done differently and just feel the shame. You know, she does feel sullied, and that makes sense, and to kind of turn it into a story where that becomes a physical manifestation isn't necessarily a bad idea, as long as you can handle it appropriately and compassionately. And I think, though I was very, 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 very hesitant in the beginning, I think it did kind of get there, unless it was just me reading too much in. Because it could have been. Do you ever go to do the second eye and think, I actually like the second eye better, like the angle of it better, but then you have to match it up to the first one. I like the swoopiness. I'm gonna finish up this eye and come back to you. I will say it did, I think, come around. Didn't have me, I'm hesitant to say this, had me rooting for the happy ending and the redemption for the beast, which is not the same as rooting for the rapist, and I'm not going to get into that spoiler. I think she did try to keep a separation there so that you could have the happily ever after and not have it be a horrible message. So, you know, it did kind of work around, but that kind of brings me to the other aspect of it. So when you set aside the plot and kind of get past that, that's not necessarily the end of its flaws. Even if you kind of get through the plot things, I think there are issues of style. So, I feel like I just do that a lot in this video. So, there is a tendency for the style and the voice to feel very stilted and slightly too formal and slightly at a remove. There could be reasons for that. It could be that she's trying to convey formality of the time period with it being kind of stilted and a little too formal. And the remove could be, you know, the fact that Lucy has kind of shut herself off from things, and so she is kind of at a remove. But regardless of the reasoning, it doesn't make it any less of a problem, in my opinion, because I think those things tend to disengage you as a reader. Also, I think, even though it is a fairy tale retelling and there's magic, I think things happen a little too easily. Things fit together too nicely, too neatly. At some points it's literally a think it and it happens type of magic system, which I get, but also I think pervades the story as a whole and takes away some of the tension and leans it a little bit into cheesy territory, but also it just, I mean, in such a potentially weighty story, I think you should have to work at things a little bit more. I think the writing choices can tend to make it feel a little obvious and a little over the top, which I guess it is an over the top story, but sometimes it just needs to be a little grounded in something, you know, a little more realistic for a fantastical story. I think just in general can make you buy everything a little bit more. But like I said, there was something compelling about it. Something did kind of keep pulling me back, and it was a very fast read. Like I did tear through it pretty quickly. But I kind of ended in the same place I began, which is that I don't know if I would recommend it, and I don't know if it's something that knowing everything I know now, would I have kept going with it? I really honestly don't know. I don't know if its merits outweigh its flaws, honestly. I think it certainly would make for an interesting discussion, so maybe it would make for an interesting, like, book club read or buddy read, but at the same time, you kind of take quite a bit of a gamble, I think, in not just whether you'd like the story and the style and the writing, but like every base element of the plot. It's a little bit of a gamble of whether it's going to win someone over, whether they're going to be able to find it romantic and fantastical at all, and whether it's going to just really get under people's skin. I think there is definitely a chance that this is going to be something that sits with people and bothers them quite a bit. So it's kind of a toss-up, I guess. I did not grab a lip, so I'm going to do that, but we are pretty much done. I'm just going to pop on an easy fave, which is Clinique Mega Melon. So there you have it. That's what I did today and what I thought of Beast, A Tale of Love and Revenge. It is one that I think I will keep thinking about, which I think is good, and I'm not going to say I think any more times because my god. But also it is one that I don't know that I'm ever going to come to a conclusion on. I don't know that I'm ever going to be fully positive or fully negative about, so it's kind of, I'm ending in a really weird spot. which hopefully doesn't bother you guys too much because I know it's kind of weird for a review. I would definitely like to know two things in the comments. If you have read this, I really want to know your thoughts. I don't think you really need to avoid spoilers because I didn't, so be aware, people in the comments, there may be more spoilers. And I also want to know if there are other books that left you feeling similarly to how I do now. So are there other things that you just cannot make up your mind about whether you like or dislike them, even just elements of them, whether you think it was a good idea or a bad idea or was done well or was done poorly. Like, I want to know your on the fence reads. Maybe that would be a really good book chat. Let me know if you want to see that. But that is all for this Get Ready With Me. Hopefully it wasn't too long because I feel like I've been sitting here forever. Real quick, I'm gonna pop on my glasses and talk about my thoughts on some of these things since I was kind of trying out things that I hadn't used or hadn't used in a while. For the blue stuff, last time that I did this similar eye look, I used this Maybelline one, and though it is patchy, it lasted all day. This, I think, is going to break apart. I can already kind of see some creasing, even with powder over it. So this might be a layering issue for me. I might use this as a base, this to kind of cover the patchiness, and this for the tone. This, so far, I really like. The tone was nice and vibrant. Granted, I wasn't really having to blend it because I was just packing it on, but I did put it on with a brush on my lower lash line, and it went on nicely true to color and not patchy, which is the problem generally with blues and purples. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. I won't know how I feel about the primer quite yet or for a little while, although I will say that it did help stick down some of my dry patches. The What's Up highlighter, I know I reach for this every now and then, and I think I'm mostly unimpressed every time I do, so I don't know. Foundation is fine, serviceable. Bronzer was nice, I liked it. The blush was nice, I liked it. It's one of those cheek or lip tints. I don't necessarily always love those because I feel like they can be a little too dry for the lips and too strong or patchy for the cheeks, but with a stippling brush it went on fine. I think that is pretty much it. Oh, the mascara you've seen me use in the other Get Ready With Me's because it's the one I'm currently using, and I'm trying not to open a bunch of things. So, I mean, it's not my favorite, but I do like it, and it's Elizabeth Arden Grand Entrance. But that is definitely enough for this long-ass video. It rambled into nowhere because it was just a weird reading experience. They just happen every now and then. That's all for now. Thank you guys for joining me, and as always, happy reading.